He- Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into my second video. I know my first video was a little tough to get through. It was a little bit of a snoozer. I watched it myself. It was pretty bad. So this time I'll try not to drone on so much about stupid stuff and we'll focus more on the cars. This is the 50th anniversary Hot Wheels Sweet 16 store display. I went ahead and pulled the top off of it, and today what I thought I would do is we'll look at these Sweet 16 store display, and then we'll look at all of the Sweet 16 cars that I have. I'll just do kind of a rainbow of them on the turntable, one at a time, in every color that I have of each model. So first we'll just go through each of the cars here, and then we'll get started on the originals. So the first one is the Beatnik Bandit. Then you have the Dodge Diora. Then you have the Hot Heap, Custom Barracuda, Custom Cougar, Custom Eldorado, Custom Volkswagen, Custom Fleetside, Silhouette, Custom Mustang in the famous watermelon, Custom T-Bird, the Custom Camaro in root beer, the Olive Custom Firebird, Custom Corvette, the Cheetah, also known, actually never made it out of the gates as known as Cheetah, they called it the Python, and the Ford J car. Okay, here's the first car, the Beatnik Bandit. We have the 50th anniversary Redline Club Edition in the center, and then the 4 variations that I have currently in my collection around the outside edge. I think my favorite one is probably the orange one. I just kind of like the stickers that some kid put on there back in the day. And the cleanest one is probably this aqua one right here that's in the front. The difference on these cars, like if you look at the bubble top on the orange one, it's clear, and then you'll notice on the purple one it's kind of a bluish tinted color. So the clear one is the US version, and then the ones that are tinted in the blue are the Hong Kong. And the other way you could tell the difference between them are the Hong Kong ones have kind of a chrome rim in the center of the wheel, and the US ones are more of a dull finish. So, and all the models are like that, every model. There are some other variations where there's parts used from US and the Hong Kong models together, which are like hybrid models, but I don't believe I have any of those at all in my collection anywhere so far. Let's continue. Alright, the next car on the list is the Dodge Diora Concept, the 50th anniversary model in the center, and the 4 variations of it that I have around the outside edge there. I've got 2 in purple, 1 in antifreeze, and 1 in orange. I also have, actually let me grab it, I've got another one that is the Sky Show, but it is a reproduction ramp. And there's what that looks like with its little airplane. I always thought that was a really cool car, and I really like the color of the aqua one. One thing I did notice on the aqua one, the rivet on the bottom there, the front rivet there and kind of in the middle has been spun, but the rivet in the back is still like never been smashed. And I've noticed that On a lot of the models, that rivet is flattened down, but for whatever reason they didn't do that on this one. Alright, I'll go ahead and get the next one set up and we'll look at the hot heap. Okay, here we are with the hot heap, the Hot Wheels Redline Club 50th anniversary version in the root beer brown, and then my original in I would say that's rose pink color, and that happens to be the only one that I have currently in my collection that is original. That's such a cool looking car. Alright, we'll get set up for the next one and we will look at the custom Barracuda. Okay, here we have the custom Barracuda. This is the antifreeze colored one, is the 50th anniversary model put out by the Redline Club. This model here is a copper colored one. The rims are deep dish reproduction rims because the wheels that were on it, most of the chrome was missing, and that's just kind of how I like to collect. If the wheels are really toast, I will replace them with aftermarket. But I do have the original wheels in a bag. And then one of my favorites is this Hong Kong purple with the purple interior, which I think is a really cool car. Alright, here's the custom Cougar. The purple one is obviously the reproduction. The orange one I picked up at an estate sale, and it was kept in a, I'm assuming, a damp environment, so it started to get the corrosion, so it's a bummer, but it is one of the only two that I have in my collection currently. Both the orange one and the blue one have the original Redline wheels on them, and they are both Hong Kong variations. Next, we're going to do the custom Eldorado. Alright, there is the Redline Club version of the custom Eldorado, and the original, the only one that I have in my collection currently, is the purple US version. And you can see the difference in the color on those US version wheels on that purple one. They're not nearly as shiny, they're just kind of muted. Really cool casting, kind of hard to find in decent shape. Usually they're fairly expensive as well, so if you could find one in decent condition for a good price, I would grab it. Alright, here we have the custom Volkswagen. Mine is the US Aqua with the opening sunroof, and the red one is the 50th anniversary. This one's kind of got its own cult following. Seems like any Volkswagen is hard to get your hands on that's in clean shape, especially if you find one that's missing the sunroof. If you have one that's a solid roof casting, those are really coveted. I've found a few, but they were all a little bit out of my price range, so at this point in time, this is the only one that I have in my collection. Okay, next is the custom fleet side. I've got the original green, or not original store display, but the 50th anniversary store display in green. Then we've got the variation in blue, which is a Sky Show variation with a reproduction ramp and reproduction wheels. And I also believe that is, I don't know that that's original plane. I think that might be one from '93 when they put out the vintage series. And then I've got two examples of purple in my collection. The purple corroded fleet side is one that came from the same set, unfortunately, that had the custom Cougar in orange that was all had the powder corrosion on it, and there's also a Camaro in that same set, so it's got corrosion as well. But it was a large lot, so there was a lot of different cars that I was after, and those just happened to be the only 3 redlines in the set of probably 600 other cars that I got of various makes, models, sizes. So it lives in the shelf with the rest. It's a really, if it didn't have that corrosion on it, if it would have kept better, it would have been a very, very clean example of that car. So it's always sad to see that. And unfortunately, I don't know that there's any way to stop it. So, alright, next we'll move on. We'll check out the Silhouette. Alright, here we have the Silhouette. The aqua one is the 50th anniversary version. And I have one in, I think that's antifreeze. And then 2 in purple. And both, especially that purple one, is really rough. But both of them are fairly rough looking. But they're red lines. I find them where I find them. I like to find them in the wild, garage sales, antique stores, anywhere I can find them, rather than paying extraordinary prices on eBay if I can. But I do use eBay as well, just to try to get my collection built up. And if I'm missing something or don't have something, then I'll turn there, especially if I'm looking for a super clean example. All of these cars, except for the antifreeze one, have their original wheels. The antifreeze one has some reproduction wheels, just because they were so worn off on the edges, but the car was so clean that I just threw a fresh set of deep dish on it, and yeah, I think it's a sharp looking car. Alright, moving on. Next car, we will start with the Python. Originally named the Cheetah, and then they had to change the name, I believe, because Johnny Lightning already had a car named Cheetah. So they switched it to the Python. Alright, here we have 2 Pythons and 1 Cheetah. The Pythons are the aqua one and the Windex blue one, and the Cheetah one is actually stamped that on the base. It is the only one that is stamped that on the base, and it's the Redline Club 50th anniversary one. Very cool. Kind of a strange casting. It would be pretty awesome to find a original of the Sweet 16 that was stamped Cheetah. I'm not sure what those bring, but last time I saw it was like a tremendous amount. It was like you could buy a real card for the amount that you would pay for one of those. It was insane, but it would be super cool to stumble across one. Keep your eye open for that. Alright, here is the custom Corvette. I've got 2 in my collection. Both of them have reproduction wheels on them. The red one with the white stripe is a reproduction wheel, US casting. And then the Windex blue one that you're seeing on the bottom of the screen, that's the 50th anniversary. And then the other Windex blue one is an original Hong Kong casting, also with reproduction wheels. And I'm sure you're noticing that the wheels on the 2 cars, if you look at them, you can see that the red one has duller finish than the blue one. So I did use the correct wheels as far as the sheen of them, but they do look close on the camera. Alright, here we have the custom Firebird. I've got several examples. The bright shiny olive is the 50th anniversary. We've got a red Hong Kong version, another red Hong Kong version, and the one in the middle there that looks like it's red, this guy here, is actually orange. What little bit of paint is left on it anyway. And then I have an olive original and a really beat up olive. Alright, here we have the custom Camaro in the root beer brown. That is the 50th anniversary. We've got the Hong Kong version in Windex blue with the black roof. I've got this nuclear pink one, which I'm relatively sure didn't ever exist, but this is the way the car came to me. I've inspected the rivets. They're also pink and they look spun. I don't know, but it may be a forgery. But it's pretty cool. It's fairly clean. It looks amazing outside in the sunlight, and it does match that nuclear hot pink color of like my Charger, several of the other ones. I do have a reproduction 442, the Olds 442 that was made out of one of the cop cars with the opening hood, and it is in pink, and it is not quite the same. So I don't know if there's different versions of paint that people are using or can get a hold of or not. The white enamel custom Camaro is exactly that. It is a custom made out of a really rough, not quite as rough as this red one, but a really rough custom Camaro. And just the rivets were drilled apart and it was re-riveted back together so I could add one to my collection, because I cannot afford an original white enamel custom Camaro, and I think it's a really cool looking car. I've also seen a version of that has like the black roof on it, white with a black roof, and I thought that was pretty sharp. It'd be cool to own one someday. But with as much cars as I'm buying and how much money I spend on it, I can't spend that much on any one single car generally at a time. I really have to space those big purchases out. So this is what I've got so far, and I do have an old original case, so I keep the blue car and the blue Hot Wheels pin in the middle inside that case, inside a protector in my redline cabinet, and it's a cool way to display it. Looks pretty sharp, has all the original stuff on the back, all the original car names, so very cool. Alright, next up we've got the custom T-Bird. Alright, here's the custom T-Bird. That is the Redline 50th anniversary. That's nice and shiny and new. And then I've got my original, which is less than shiny and new. I know when people are showing their collections, I usually see people showing off they don't show off the beat up and roughed up cars, but I love them all. I was a kid, used to beat them up, play with them in the dirt, and that's how they looked. The ones that are more beat up are the ones that were loved more. So I just collect them. I love them all. I keep them in my case. The only ones that I don't have up there in my case are the ones that are so beat up that they're like missing wheels and they don't roll anymore. Those ones, and they still live in an old collector's case under the shelf. So you never know when you'll need an extra part, I guess. So maybe eventually you get enough parts together to rebuild one, and that's kind of fun too. That's a whole nother hobby in itself. But anyway, next we're down to the last two cars. We have the custom Mustang and the Ford J car. Alright, so here we have my version of the custom Mustang. It is not the open hood scoop model. You can see that the hood scoops are solid, where the watermelon one from the 50th anniversary set has the open hood scoop where you can see through them down to the engine, which is super cool. I would like to add some more of these to my collection, but at this point, this is the only one that I've got. Also, the wheels on this one are reproduction wheels as well, so I always try to spice them up with the wheels, but I do always save the original wheels just in a bag. I've got a big bag of original wheels, and some people are completely against that. Some people think it's fine. Some people have warned me, like, oh, you gotta be careful doing that because you could pop the little end off of the axle and then the bearing will fall off and then your wheel won't stay on anymore. Luckily, up to this point, I have never had one do that to me, but I do know people that when they change their wheels, not everybody I know, but I do know a few people that will cut them off rather than trying to pop them off using like the redline tool, just to make sure that it doesn't hurt the bearing. That way when they put the new wheels on it, or the replacement original wheels, that the car is still in good mint condition when they go back on. But generally, if the car's in super minty condition, usually the wheels match pretty well. So, and this one here's had quite a bit of play wear, and it didn't really have any chrome left on it. So there you go. We will move on to the final car, which is the Ford J car. Alright, and there is the Ford J car, 50th anniversary, in beautiful dark blue. That thing is so shiny. And then I've got an original Windex blue with the original wheels and all kinds of little stickers on it. And then I've got a very, very loved white one that may have been part of a junkyard or something. I used to do the same thing when I was a kid to some of my cars, just so I would have cars to have in a junkyard. So there it is in all its glory. And last, just for fun, I thought I would show off these 4 cars, which are a little bit harder cars to find, ones that I was really super excited about when I actually got my hands on one. We have the Heavy Chevy in yellow, the redline of the Army staff car, the King Radio super van, and the mountain mining truck set with a reproduction trailer. So I figured I would break them out, put them on the turntable just to end the video. You never know. I never thought I would own a King Radio, and I think I paid $80 for that. I just found it in that original condition. Somebody knew it was valuable, but they didn't know how valuable they were, because I still feel like even in that condition it's probably worth a little bit more than $80. And I think I paid $125 for the Army staff car, and I paid about $120 for the Heavy Chevy as well. The mountain mining, was it Road King truck, semi-truck cab over, I paid $49 for just the truck, and it does have the bottom plastic piece on it. And then the reproduction trailer I just ordered off of eBay, so it would have its little trailer with it. But I have been on the lookout for one of those that is complete, and then hopefully at some point I'll be able to upgrade each of these cars to a better version, a little bit cleaner model, which is kind of what I try to do with all my cars as I go. So alright, that will conclude my second video. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this, and if you did, come back and see what I got for you next time. Thanks again. Bye.